Every February 15th, the Global Childhood Cancer Community celebrates International Childhood Cancer Day in a collaborative campaign to raise awareness about childhood cancer and to express support for children and adolescents with cancer, the survivors and the families. Now, Korede Akindele is the head of program, the Doctors Foundation, and is here and is joining us here in the studio with a message this year. And I want to say thank you very much for joining us today. And a good work you and your organization do. And talk to us about this year's celebration and the importance of always drumming this message time and time again.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. The International Childhood Cancer Day is a day, like you said, that commemorates globally about childhood cancer. So the purpose is to raise support and collaborative efforts to be able to reduce the burden and also increase the care for children with cancer globally. So why this year is so important? It has been 3 years old, which we've been dealing with a particular subject. The first one was Through Your Hands. That was focused on healthcare workers. The last one is Through Our Hands. That was focused on families. But this one particularly is Through Their Hands, with a special focus on caregivers. Caregivers comprised of families, healthcare workers, everyone that is caring for childhood cancer. How do we help them achieve the result so as to achieve the WHO global goal of reducing childhood cancer by 60% in 2023? So this year is so important. We are focusing on developing the capacity of caregivers and to also answer questions. Particularly for what we are doing in Nigeria from our side is we are creating a platform. We are going to have a platform where people can ask every question they need about childhood cancer. The truth is there is a lot of misinformation outside, and we are dealing with information from the early diagnosis to the treatment, to the aftercare, to even disease to survivor. So these are key issues we will be dealing with in our space here to answer the question about childhood cancer. And we will keep talking about this because I was having a conversation with someone yesterday and he said cancer does not stop. So as long as it does not stop, we need to keep talking about it. And what are we talking about? For people to be able to see signs. Children can survive cancer. That's the good news about it. But it has to be picked early and it has to be well treated. And so why we need to keep talking about it is so that people can know, people can be aware that look, if so things look like this is what you need to do. Don't sit on it, don't wait on it.
Very good, Korede. If I may ask, what's the prevalent rate like with child cancer in Nigeria, and how concerned should Nigerians, especially parents, be, or guardians as well?
You see, the prevalence is that so sad that Nigeria does not have a fact data that we can say, okay, this is what we. But globally, over 400,000 children are being diagnosed every year, but 80% of them come from low and middle income countries like Nigeria. So Nigeria is one of the low and middle income countries that we see 80%. So it's on the right side. And the painful thing is the presentation comes late as a result of not being aware. So what we try to allow parents to see is pay attention to your child's health. You see, it's not like an adult cancer whereby you say, you know what, there is, okay, breast cancer, for example, you go for screening when you are feeling some lumps, okay, cervical cancer, okay, you have some partner to know this thing. But childhood cancer is not like that. Childhood cancer, what is it? There are signs, and it comes like normal sickness in children. So what we tell parents and what we'll advise every parent is pay attention to your child's health. You know when your child is fine, you know when your child is not fine. I mean, where we come from, there's this saying in this part of our world, okay, a child is trying to maybe grow, a child is kind of tall, is feeling lean. So these are little things you pay attention to. You see that the child is not as active as it is. You see, it does not say that that child has cancer, and that's it. So what you need to do is to take the child to an hospital. And for us, we also try as much as possible to educate healthcare workers, because that's we've seen cases where people will say, you know what, my child was sick, I take the child to the hospital, a malaria was treated for 6 months, and at the end of it, they said he has cancer. So what is wrong? So we try as healthcare workers need to know what signs to look for. So if you are seeing a child repeatedly ill on a particular illness and you've done all you need to do, something is not getting better, refer the child to a teaching hospital where the child can get the best care. So parents must pay attention to their child's health, must take responsibility for it. Healthcare workers must look beyond, I'm talking about even in the primary care, they must look beyond what they see as normal sickness in a child. If that child is not getting better, refer the child to a specialist who is a pediatrician who can check the child very well and knows that, okay, something is wrong, we need to take this further.
Yeah.
All right, according to Dr. Machetizo Moeti, talking about from WHO Africa, she has actually said that by 2050, Africans will actually account for 50% of childhood cancer globally. That's quite worrisome. What can we do to actually reverse that particular trend, or what is driving that particular trend and that data right now?
Okay, now, so what's driving that data now is lack of awareness, lack of information. People are not aware. Some people still don't believe a child can have cancer. We have religious issues also around it, of people, and also funding around it. So all these things they are different things that web it together to say, you know what, Africa it is. But from our end, we're so glad that a lot of stakeholders are rising in Nigeria to change these narratives, also in Africa. So by the time, we believe that will change, but for opportunities like this to talk to people, opportunities to talk in the community, to talk, so we would believe that can change. But that data comes as a result of lack of awareness, lack of information, and some religious and fear issues around it.
Very good, Korede. And earlier on, you were talking about the issue of parents monitoring their children, at least to get a heads up on probability of getting cancer. But sometimes when you look at the prevalence rate, you tend to think, is it about the lifestyle choices we make as individuals that the probability of getting cancer itself is way up there? And are maybe parents, maybe the kind of food they feed their children, a lot of synthetic, lifestyle choices, ice creams and stuff like that. And when you talk about the hereditary factor as well, probability of getting cancer. So when you take all these issues together, where are we at? What should we be looking at? Because there's so much narratives around cancer, and there are different types of cancer.
Yeah.
So
even childhood cancer has different types.
There you go.
So unfortunately, unlike adult that we can say, you know what, when you are prone to smoking, there is, chances of lung cancer.
True.
When you do this, when you have multiple sex partners.
Or even non-smokers when they're two, even the chances of getting the chances of you getting it is higher than the one.
Yes, we can say high risk. For example,
good.
But children, children cancer has not been linked to a particular effect. That is the worry. So yeah, we can say, if we say hereditary, let's say like 10% or 20% maybe, but we can say, okay, 100% is because of hereditary. It has not been linked to a particular effect. And that is why parents must pay attention. And there's no scanning for it. Okay, I can't come to this area now and say, you know what, bring your child, we want to scan them for cancer. There is nothing like that. What is it is their signs to pay attention to. And that is why parents must take responsibility of the child's health. For example, I can talk about the survivor. The survivor retinoblastoma, that's the cancer of the eye. Now, what happened? The small boy was inside the house playing in the night, and then there was power outage, and his mother noticed his eyes shining. So what's going on? This is not right. So second morning, they take the child to the hospital. Like, no, this cannot be like this. And then test was carried on, and discovered the child has retinoblastoma, that's the cancer of the eye. So it was an attention that the mother pays that, no, your eyes cannot be shining like this, or something is wrong. And so if it is some people, they will just neglect it, maybe he's been seeing light, maybe. So these little things, pay attention, repeated fever, pay attention. So all those things, I'm not saying if your child has fever, no. If this thing is repeated, so take the child to a pediatrician. Don't say, you know what, it's going to get better. Take it to a pediatrician and let them check the child. You see, if it's good to say, okay, it's not cancer, everybody is fine, we are all fine. Then, so that's it. So parent has a response. And that's why this caregiver thing that we are doing in this month to mark this day is so important to parents to join so that they can ask every question they need about their childhood.
I want to say thank you very much for your time today and keep spreading the message. It's very, very important to us.